No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. And today, I got my boy Chad Kerley on the show. Nice to see you, man.
To see you too, man.
How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good.
It's crazy to have you on here because I was thinking about it earlier. I remember how I met you. You were like 15, maybe even younger. And we were in San Diego. And I forget who I was riding with, but you were with Matt Clausen and he was filming you, right? No, not Matt Clausen.
Who?
Matt, the motherfucker from Coalition.
Oh yeah, what's his name? Matt Kolish?
Kolish.
Is that it?
Very
Yeah,
close
yeah,
to Clausen. Sorry about that, Kolish. Yeah, Matt Kolish was filming you.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing you and you're like really small. So I'm like wondering what the deal is. And then you did a 180 bar out of a bank over a guardrail in the parking lot to like a...
Is that Qualcomm?
Yes.
That Qualcomm?
Yes.
All right, because I was like, okay, this sounds like a spot I know.
And at first, because you know, I'm seeing like a young kid not thinking much about it. And then you did that. And I'm like, oh shit. Okay. Interesting.
Man,
It's crazy.
it's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
And
I
now
was a
you,
little ass kid.
now
just
you're a
trying
grown
to-
ass man. And
Yeah.
it's, you know, it's been crazy to watch the transformation.
Right.
Right.
You know, it's been some time.
So tell me about the early days. Like, at what age did you get on a bike? Because I felt like you were kind of a child prodigy rider at one point, right?
Yeah, I feel like I can't even remember my life without a bike at this point.
Really?
Yeah, like I think I even started like messing around on a bike at like 2 with training wheels, take them off, and I started racing when I was 4. I was already on a track when I was 4.
Really?
So it was kind of so quick. It was like the only thing I ever really did, only thing I ever really knew. It was because my preschool teacher, they already went to the track, and so they were like, they asked my parents, like, yo, he likes riding bikes, you should take him to the track.
Really? So your parents weren't into it? You were the first generation BMX rider?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. Well, they're just trying to follow whatever I would, you know, if I wanted to swim, if
Right.
I wanted to do some other shit, they would have helped me, you know, pursue that.
Because like BMX to me seemed like a pretty normal thing to get into when I got into it.
Right.
But sometimes when you're out here in the world and you realize how many people don't even know what BMX bikes are really, or the racing side of it is this other subculture where it's like, you know, some people know a shitload about it and most people don't. And it just seems like such a interesting choice to get into, and especially when like to a lot of people though, like to me it just seemed like a kind of regular thing. Like a lot of people rode bikes in my town and I was young, like everybody kind of had a bike, but you got into it so young that you just sort of seamlessly transitioned into it.
Yeah, I think that's like a part of like growing up in California. You know what I mean? In San Diego, it's like, or just in California in general, I feel like it's that type of weather where you're gonna get that good. You know what I mean? You're gonna just ride every day because you have all this time to do it.
Right.
All the seasons are nice. Every day is pretty much going to be nice. So you just put the time in to get down like that.
But when you were racing, what attracted you to it? Like,
Racing?
what was it about it? Like the athleticism? Because you started so young.
No, it was about, really, I just wanted to jump the doubles and triples on the track. It was really about jumping. And then I realized, oh shit, you got to speed jump. Like you can't jump and be steezy in the air and shit. I was trying to jump and kick my shit out. Like,
Really?
That's all I really cared about was jumping. And then I thought, since that was my introduction to this shit, was like the BMX dirt track was what it was. So I didn't go to a skate park first. I went to the dirt track first. So I thought, okay, so I just want to jump some shit.
Right.
Then if you're going to be there, you got to compete and you race and you get down like that. So once I started racing, it was just like I have the competitive nature within me. It's just something that's within me. Like once the gate drops, you go get it. And so once I got into it, and started winning and being good at it, it's like you just keep doing it, you know, like anything. If anybody gets good at something, I feel like you just keep.
Yeah, because you went pretty far with the racing shit, right?
Yeah, dude, I raced till I was 13.
Right.
So from 4 to 13, but like serious racing. Like my dad was taking me to nationals all over the country. You know, I went to Brazil for UCI Worlds and I got like second or third. I was racing for the USA.
Because I remember when you went pro, I forget who it was, but I remember like 1 or 2 people saying to me like, that's crazy that kid's like such a good street rider now because he was like a fucking racing prodigy when he was a kid. Like I knew some people that remembered you from that.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I feel like it kind of helped me in a sense get to where I'm at because people did know me from that field already in a sense, and it kind of helped me push to get to know other people within BMX, and especially Dennis, man. Dennis put me on, you know, because like me and him raced together, and so that's what me and him we got like baby photos together. So
really,
like, our parents and we've known each other for so long, it's actually crazy. That's what blows our mind. And when he quit racing, I was like, oh shit, you could do that. I'm like, this is kind of dope. I want to do what he's doing, but I still want to ride. I just don't want to race.
Because, okay, if you're in the racing community and you're somebody who cares about keeping kids into racing, at a certain point, a lot of kids are going to start to get interested in freestyle and doing tricks. And that must be such like a threatening thing to their world, because they probably lose talented racers to the freestyle shit all the time, or any other type of biking or all kinds of other athletic pursuits.
Yeah, for sure. But I always felt like from racing, it was always respect. So like from racing, it wouldn't be like, oh, they're taking it. It'd be like, bro, we cheer him on. Like, yo, that's Dennis from the track.
Right.
Killing it at X Games or Do Tour.
Right.
Like that's him. So it's always love like that. But it's got to be kind of crazy that BMX, like the foundation of it, if you come from racing, it kind of gives you the skills and the assets to take it further if you want to kind of like do tricks or do some other shit with it.
Right. Yeah, because from like a bike control perspective, how much do you think that the racing shit helped you? Because that's like Jake Seeley raced a lot, and he's someone who can be totally stand still on his bike and start wiggling his fucking front wheel and be going super fast. And he told me that he learned all that from like the racing shit. And like, does it give you a different level of bike control?
Oh yeah, facts.
Really?
Shit like that. Shit like manualing for me.
Right.
So for me, it was like for the bike control side, I was like tap manualing jumps and trying to keep my speed. So manuals is kind of second nature for me. So I felt like that kind of helped. And then I didn't go directly from the track to like a skate park or riding street. I kind of like started riding dirt jumps, which is the most familiar thing to racing. Then I started riding the street. Then I just kind of branched out from there. But I feel like the bike skills from racing translated to everything I wanted to ride. So
Right.
it was cool.
Because if you're a kid at that juncture in your career where you could kind of choose to keep racing or to go in the freestyle direction, it's got to seem like, because as you get older, it gets more and more serious, right? Like you're an 8-year-old racer, you're just kind of going and doing it, and then all of a sudden you're 12, 13, 14, and it starts to be more like you got to eat this diet, you got to work out, you got to be super on point with your training and your fitness, versus freestyle is like hang out at the skate park, go around town, ride street. This probably seems a lot more laid back, creative. I feel like to a lot of kids that's got to be really appealing.
For sure. And that's what appealed me. Because, like, man, like that shit, like you were saying, okay, 12 and 13, you take it serious. Like, bro, I was taking it serious at like 9 and 10.
Really?
That was training me hard. And I was racing, like, to uphold this, number plate that I had, or get a better number plate, nag this, nag one. So I had taken it serious from like, I turned expert. So if I started racing at 4, I probably turned expert. I was like a 5 expert. And then I was a 6 expert, 7. Every year I was the top of each age, racing the best kids of each age. So I was always in the mix for that. And that's what drew me to park and street and all that shit, because you didn't have to train to be having fun. And to have fun on a track, you got to win. So and that's like, in my perspective, if you're going to be on a racetrack, the most fun part was winning. And like, when you're fucking battling people and not making the main, it was like a waste of time to be out there. So it was like I always took it serious enough to like get it in. And yeah.
Yeah, because I remember being like 13 or whatever, 12 when I first got into BMX, and I would be grabbing the racing magazines at the bike shop or whatever and reading them, just thinking like, oh, I'm into bikes, maybe I'll find this interesting. And then there would be dudes talking about their training regimen and how they were taking wheatgrass shots and shit. And I'm just like, this is not what I got into bike riding for. Like, this is some other shit. All right.
Yeah, I never changed for like the diet aspect, but as far as training, bro, my dad used to like have me run up the biggest flight of stairs you had ever seen in your life, bro.
Really?
And I'd have to sit there and fucking go at it, and then doing sprints in the grass and shit that was pushing my body so hard when I was little that I literally stopped. Like, that shit made me not want to do it no more.
Really? So that's like a bad memory, or?
Kind of. Well, like towards the end it got bad, because then it was like people were hitting their growth spurt before me. I've been a small guy.
Right.
So when dudes was 12, 13, they was damn near looking grown, and I have to train twice as hard to keep up with how big they're getting, in a sense. So it was harder for me to uphold that. And I'm like, I'm kind of over this, and I want to do something else. But the training was hard. There was times like I got trained so hard I couldn't. The next morning I had crawled into the living room. I'm like, Dad, my legs don't work. Right. Like, whatever you did yesterday, I just went so hard I can't even walk.
And
so
as a kid though, like doing that probably feels like so shitty, but also, I don't know, like as I get older, I love working out so hard that I'm like so sore I can barely fucking move. Right. Or like that feeling after you try a trick so long that you're just dead. Kind of love that feeling.
I love that too. But as a kid, I was like,
Yeah.
dude, I don't want to do this anymore, especially if it's not going to translate in results. So if I'm going to work this hard and I might have got second or third that year and it wasn't the best year of mine, it was like, what did I work so hard to just barely get? Like, I want to work hard to be, you know what I mean, at the top of that shit.
And
that's
especially
why it's too competitive.
And and it's like if you're competitive, but then at some point in your life, like, you know, everybody wants to play basketball at some point in their childhood, right?
Yeah.
And it's like realistically, most people by the time they make it into high school, they've started to kind of get the idea of like, oh, you're not going to be in the NBA. Like, maybe the best dude in your school will make it to the NBA, but realistically, even he probably is not going to make it to the NBA. So it's like this, but when you're a kid, it's like, if I want to play basketball and I'm like 5'1", it's like people are going to encourage me to play basketball, right? But then as you get older and older, you get a little bit closer to that reality.
Yeah, and then you probably fall into some other shit that you like. That's probably not basketball, you know.
But I feel like you might have like the best like build and height for BMX. I've always said that I think that being shorter really helps a lot because your bars are kind of like in front of you more, whereas like to a really tall dude, your bars are like this thing that's just kind of low below you.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I always look at Dennis and them, and I'm like, damn, like you can be tall and get down like that, but I'm sure it could be a little easier to be, you know, fitted to the bike. And
or like a
like
Rob
that.
Wise.
Yeah.
If you're tall and you get sick at riding, it looks so good. But I feel like being smaller is better, and especially falling. I feel like you can kind of ball up and roll a little bit better. Whereas the longer your legs are, the easier it is to get the leverage to break your leg. You know.
For sure. No, I hear that for sure. But maybe it's like, I don't know, man. I always looked at people, Josh Harrington, Dennis. They're taller, and they still got down. So I never really felt like I have like an advantage being a little smaller in a sense. But
Chris Doyle.
Maybe. Yeah, Chris Doyle.
Like when a tall dude is good, it looks sick as
it's
fuck.
like glorified, bro, because they go that much higher because they're taller too.
Yeah.
They air out, you're like, oh, shit.
Or like a no-footed can.
Right.
You got long legs. That's the ultimate long leg
trick.
trick.
You gotta do. You gotta do that trick.
The whole trick is based on sticking your legs out. If you have long ass legs, it's gonna look sick.
Yep.
Yeah. But I feel like with a bar spin, like when I watch you do a bar spin, I'm like, that is so different than the way it feels when I try to do a bar spin. It's like the bars are not in the same place for him as for me.
Yeah, I try to scoot my shit back.
Right.
You know?
But did you take to the freestyle side of shit like right away? Like and how long did it take you to go from trails to riding street and everything?
I guess like I rode trails as I was like racing too, in a sense. So 12 and 13, I would enter little dirt jump contests that were local and shit, and I would enter it on my race bike because they would be like, oh, the little dudes, whatever class I was in, was just hitting this little section, and I would be like, all right, I grab my race bike and I'll hit the big section, and I won't do no tricks, but it would give me hella points to do that. So I always kind of messed with that, the dirt jumping scene. And then I don't know, it took me, man, like I quit when I was 13, so 14 and 15 I was really like, I got a camera and I was messing around in the streets and shit like that, and it didn't take that long in a sense. I already kind of like, it's a weird way, is like when I quit racing, I got super obsessed with this shit, like and like I introduced to it like real street riding through LaShawn Kobza.
Really?
And my homie Tyler Ruiz. Like I would just go stay over there in Chula Vista with them, and I would just stay all summer. And LaShawn put me on to what was cool about street. I mean, he had the biggest animal sticker on his frame that I was like, damn, that's hard. Then he had a red animal stem. Then we go watch an animal video, a scavenger video, and I'm like, let's go ride. And we go ride in the middle of the night, just in the parking lot. And that, something about that made me feel like this is what I really want to do. Like this is on some rebel shit than what I'm used to, this organized race and stuff, right? But I can just kick it here, watch a video, and go outside and ride and just fuck around. And like we can go ride by the Vons and ride a ledge there, and it just felt more, I don't know, like I'm a kid, like I'm really playing and doing
like
this shit.
I'm out here in the city or in this place just being part of this world. Whereas when you go to the skate park, it's kind of like, oh, they've created this little corridor for you to go stay in, and it's cool, you know, it is fun. Like the older I get, the more that I can just ride a skate park, and it's like I don't care if the thing I'm riding is street or not. But I don't know, there's something about just the feel and the vibe of riding street. Like I loved BMX before Edwin, but then when Edwin came out, that changed everything for me, because he just embodied like being a cool ass young dude, just loving being outside, riding at night. Which riding at night seems like whatever now, but like that just seemed like the coolest thing in the world to me, that the dudes who rode BMX in my hometown stayed out till 3 a.m. riding.
That was so hard to me. That was like the coolest thing to me ever.
Right.
They got a little light on the camera, bro, getting clips. That shit was so inspiring, bro. Like, I don't know. That was like the introduction to all that. And I just wanted to keep doing it. And to me, I had never seen a black rider look the way it looked. Like, I had seen street riding and bike riding. I seen Dennis do it, my homie Tammy. You know, I seen local people, Steve Woodward. Something about seeing Edwin and seeing that maybe it was in New York, a different place than what I'm even used to seeing. The street was different than the street here. It made me really like that shit. Like, oh, like, this is dope. And to the music I like, maybe be a Papoose song or something hard that's like, oh shit, like this is dope. How you're mixing everything I ever liked. The clothes, got the fitted on. It was like a mixture of almost all this stuff that made me like it more than I ever liked anything or anybody else. And
you got the vibe from the footage, and it really was true that to Edwin, BMX was just like one of the pieces of what made up his life. Right. Like, he loved music, he loved clothes, he liked rap, he liked graffiti. He's fucking, I mean, later in his life he starts partying and stuff, but you know, he's the dude who's riding his bike to the fucking bar and shit. And it's like, the thing about BMX tricks is that they don't really like mean anything just in and of themselves. It's all about the context that you put them into. So it's like when we used to watch props videos with like Lucero songs and shit, and BMX felt like this cool kind of like country boy thing in the skate park doing an over ice to back over whatever. It's like, that's cool, but that the presentation made it that. Whereas with Edwin and shit, it's like, no, this is some urban shit. This is New York City.
Yeah, there might be a fight in the middle.
Yeah,
there might be some gunshots in the song. Like, all that shit. I was almost like I didn't blink. I was just watching these videos like, yeah, bro, whatever this is, I'm trying to do that shit. Right. Take my brakes off, put my, whatever it is, I want to do this shit.
And,
like,
and BMX didn't really feel hip hop at all until really Animal. Like, Bass Brooklyn deserves their credit because they had a video that was mostly rap at a certain point. But like, people, it's easy for people to forget how putting rap in a video or having a video be mostly rap was like very upsetting to a lot of people in BMX at that time.
Yeah,
it was very controversial.
I'm sure. Even like when I started putting out, you know, my edits with my music, I felt like it wasn't even that popular at the time. You know what I mean? To use Tupac's back and just some raw Rick Ross, like Meek Mill shit. It was just like,
right.
It was fitting because that's what I really listened to. So it's like, you kind of just got to take it how I'm going to present it to y'all. Because I really want to, like, if I'm going to make an edit with Christian or whatever, it's really cool for me to put my input as far as at least like what you're going to make the video to. Right. And so that kind of shit.
No, yeah, because even 2014, I remember we put out a Stevie edit that went really viral. And
the Gucci one?
Yeah. And I remember like even Dig in the caption when they posted it, like said that we had trash taste in music or something. And I'm just like,
it's so ahead of his time. It's funny how ahead of his time that kind of shit is. Yeah.
Like 2014, Gucci Mane, one of the greatest rappers of all time. I would hope that even if you're not a rap fan, that you just take my word for it. Yeah. Like, we were getting shit for using a song off Trap God, which to me is his best mixtape, maybe.
Right.
I don't know. But so I was talking about seeing you with Matt Kolish out on this filming mission and stuff. Was that kind of how you were moving at the time? Were you just bouncing around like with whoever was down to film or riding with whoever? Or was that like a short-lived filming operation, or you were just kind of doing whatever?
In a sense, I was just meeting people at that time. So if I met Matt, it was maybe through Tammy or, you know, I knew the people in San Diego. So anytime I connected with people outside of it, it was because they connected me or they were going to go get clips with them and then I go with them or whatever it is. So I just used the opportunity to ride. So you know how it is. If you're just into that shit, you're going to go ride with whatever crew's going to go do it or whatever's going down. Right. You know what I mean? So
were you and Dennis riding all the time together, or like?
That's what's crazy. I didn't get to ride with him till shit. Like, I started like freestyle stuff after racing. A couple years after that, I still hadn't seen Dennis. Like, I only seen him at the skate park at Claremont here and there. He was like a full-time pro at that time.
Right, yeah.
You know how there was more events than now, so he was fully like doing shit all the time. So I barely seen him. So when I catch up with him and be like, hey, what up? And I'd be inspired and chop it up and see how good he was, but I wasn't really riding with him that often. But there was like a time, when I was like 15, maybe 15, Dennis was there with the whole Haro squad at Claremont. And I don't know if I had got invited to go meet up with them. I think I did. But I met up with them. It was like Ryan Nyquist, Alan Cook, Colin McKay, I'm pretty sure. maybe Ronnie,
Right.
Dennis, and that's the day Dennis put a good word in for me, and I got on premium.
Right.
So it's like Dennis kind of helped direct certain things by just having a good word for me. And you know how people trust Dennis; he's a good guy. So if he's got your back in some shit, like he likes your riding, you might be pretty good. You know what I mean, or whatever. Like he's kind of got your back as far as helping you get to the next. Like we've been brothers, you know. Since
But did he
forever.
give you game early on of like, if you're gonna become a pro, this is what you're gonna have to do, or this is what it's gonna look like?
Not necessarily, but he was always there for me to ask questions too. So I would always like, if I had a question, I would hit him with that. But he didn't like, it wasn't all about getting game. The game I got from it was just watching. I
Right.
soaked shit up by just watching. Like I would just watch videos all the time, interviews all the time, Nike 6.0 trips, all
Right.
that type of shit. It was like I fucking just forced myself upon that by just watching it so much and being so obsessed about it, you know?
Right.
And then even like with Nike, like I was at Claremont, same thing. And Dennis is like, yo, you want to be on Nike? And then Gary Young was right there like, but do you want to be on Vans? And I'm like, oh, shit, I want to be on Nike.
Right.
So I told Dennis, and boom, Losi hit me up, gave me a pack, and we just kept. I got the email everyone else got. You ain't never gonna be on the pro team. You just gonna be on Flow.
Mm.
You know, we have our pro team listed. It's Spinner, Garrett, Nigel, and Dennis. That's what it is. I said, I don't care. This is the coolest thing ever. You know,
Right.
at the time, you just trying to get in this shit. So, free product to support my riding and do some tricks and mess them up and get some more product. It was cool. And then eventually it just led to more shit. Just like, I don't know. I think that's when Spinner got off.
Right.
And it just happened to be good timing that I was like the age I was to, you know what I mean, put me on. And Losi really believed in me.
Right.
He's like, I love Losi, man. He always had my back like that. So I think, yeah, he helped push to get me on the pro team. And then I was probably like 17 when I got on.
Spinner on the Nike team was
Yeah.
like John Jones being on Nike in the UFC, where like it was just this like weird little because normally people get on UFC or get on Nike for a long time,
Right.
and like,
It's like a
every
family.
once in a while there'll be like an athlete or whatever that has this little chunk of time with them, and it doesn't
Right.
really work out, but it's
Right.
rare.
Yeah, I don't know. I always fucked with Spinner. It was just, you know, I just
He's a
think,
great guy.
yeah, I just think it was just the timing. You know what I mean? I don't
But,
know.
but okay, BMX is weird because it's like, at least the way it used to be, it's like you're not supposed to really take control of your own career. You're supposed to just ride, get good, not say shit to anybody, and like it's like putting your neck out there is looked at as weird. And especially this is weird when you compare it to rap, where it's just literally anyone who raps is like spending money on promoting themselves, wearing crazy chains and outfits to promote themselves. It's like there's no stigma against promoting yourself in rap. There's a huge stigma against being like promotional, I guess, in BMX,
it's
and even
crazy.
more so before now, because now social media, people have kind of accepted it, right?
Even more, like, people don't even promote themselves as a pro BMXer in a sense. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We don't even like. I'd barely put that in my bio not that long ago because I'm like, bro, why don't I have that? I'm a pro. Like, if that's what I am, it's kind of weird that we don't really like wear that. You know what I mean? Anybody that's really like really doing this shit, and especially for if somebody's gonna come across your page that don't really know what we do, because to the core people, I don't need to put that. People
Right.
that know I'm a pro and I ride, I don't need to do that. But it's for like people that, you know, my mother-in-law's sister might come on my page or something. It's like, what is all this stuff? I'd rather there be like a title for it. Oh, you're just a pro BMX rider, or whatever.
Right.
There's a title to it. So it's not. I just feel like, yeah, it's kind of weird with BMX how we don't, you know what I mean? So, self-promotion and all that type of shit is kind of just looked upon differently.
And I had a weird realization when I got into the kendama shit, because I saw the way that everybody who's into kendama realizes that kendama is not that popular. So if someone's gonna ask you about it, you gotta tell them about it. You gotta help people like learn to do a spike or whatever. And I'm like looking at that and just thinking about how different the BMX world is, where like people just like a bike rider doesn't even want to fucking explain what he's doing to some random person on the street. But really, it's kind of like kendama, they like take it for granted that if you're going to do this, you kind of need to be an ambassador to like teaching people about it. BMX could benefit from a little bit of that energy.
For sure. No, I feel that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, the older I get, the more I realize the game like that. You know what I mean? Because I'd be so, I don't know, man. Like, I think I'm getting to the age where I start realizing a lot of shit. Like to get to the point where I'm at, you got to be just head down on BMX shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just fully just go after it. Like, like even being a part of Nike in a sense, I was just on Nike getting stuff. In a sense, being the age I am now, it's like these are bigger opportunities than just that. And you know what I mean? You can take BMX a little, like I could have taken it a little more seriously being in that position. Like I wasn't even like, you know how today you kind of put shoes on Instagram and you go at it, you make a little edit with it and shit like that. I wasn't even doing that when I was on Nike. So it's kind of weird that like, it's just like I was stuck in the pro, like, just get product, they're paying me to do this, I'm gonna go get clips today type of mode. And then like recently I had strained my groin and made me like, I had to like sit out for like 2 months pretty much. So it made me like sit out the game a little bit, and seeing it from an outside was kind of different. You know what I mean? So I'm usually in the mix, high-fiving, good shit, bro, good shit.
Right.
And not really looking at the bigger picture of like, what is this good shit we're doing? It's just like this, it's a hobby. We love it. And like, bro, I'm gonna put time in. This is what made me who I am. But like, there's got to be something taken a little more serious if all of us are together at an event, or like, is someone here looking at it a little more than this, or are we all just kids playing high-fiving good shit, bro?
Right.
It's like we could be a little more proactive with. I don't even want to change nobody's shit. Like I'm not trying to tell no one to change. I think it's cool, but I just look at it a little different now that I'm older. I'm not so like blindsided by just being this pro. You know, there's more to this shit than that.
Because okay, there's two different ways to think about it. Where like, if you're a bike rider, you could spend 4 hours trying to film a clip that is like hard as fuck. Realistically, it's gonna look good in your video part, or it's gonna do good on your Instagram, whatever. It'll keep you in people's minds. It'll make your sponsors happy. Like, look, he's putting himself out there. Or you could spend 4 hours, like, I don't know, like working on brand deals, or like trying to build up the overall business of you as an influencer. And those are both valid uses of your time. It's just kind of a question of like, how much time do you put into each? Like, how much time do you put into like practicing your craft versus monetizing the celebrity of that you've created out of yourself, you know?
And that's why I kind of look up to what you've done. There's only so many people in BMX that's kind of grown something beyond it. You know what I mean? Transcended it. And with other industries, you kind of have other people to look up to. But there's only a few of us in BMX. I look at you, Nigel, you know what I mean? People that have transcended some shit. But in skating, there might be 6 more names to that, or whatever it might be. So it's like, I don't know, man. It's hard because I want that shit to be as good as everybody else wants it to be. So it's like the industry could be bigger if everybody just worked on just making that shit better for them, even for themselves. Because like if I do something bigger and better for myself, BMX is an extension to my arm, like my finger is. Like I'm still gonna be a bike rider, you know what I mean? So whatever I get to do is gonna come with me. It's gonna make everything grow. It's not like I gotta take it upon like BMX to do that. We can all do that in a sense. You know what I mean?
It's got to be weird for you sometimes. Like when I'm watching a Chad Kerley video part or whatever, where you're so good, a lot of the tricks that you would realistically want to film are so technical. They seem so time consuming and like have 18 different fucking steps to it, whatever. And it's just like at a certain point, you're kind of like near the top of the game riding wise. So you kind of have the option to just chill, or you could like really keep going hard, knowing that a lot of these clips that you're trying to get are going to be multi-hour affairs. I would assume. Like, is that kind of, does that fuck with your head sometimes?
It does, dude. I was just doing that yesterday. That clip I posted in my yard yesterday, I was with Drew filming that, and I was like, bro, no one knows how fucking long this shit takes. No one knows, bro. No one give me no flowers for this shit. And the point of it is personal. This is me going at this. I'm not doing this to get a trophy out of it. It's like, I want this trick. But does anyone know how hard this shit is for me, bro? It'd be so frustrating.
Right.
Like, does anyone understand how hard this shit is, bro? To throw that little ass bar spin in there. You know, like, I'm working hella hard to get this shit. And sometimes it make me feel like, do I want to work hella hard on this shit? Was that even worth it? You know, and then the people in the comments might, bro, you could have did like 3 bar spins in there. I still have space for like 2 more. Or you know how hard it was for me to, no one really, because I don't know. There's like a way I was telling Drew this, like, bro, there's got to be a way I could like put this out to let people understand how hard this shit is. Because like, it is hard to balance, like you said, you can be one of the best riders and to be really good, right? Now I'm upholding being really good. So if I did do that trick without a bar, I'm expecting to see one. Even my wife was on there talking about, I was thinking you was going to do a bar.
Right.
So it's like, she don't even know shit about it.
As a
but
person who watches bike
Yeah.
videos, we've all definitely been through that of like, oh, I thought he was going to borrow that nose manual.
So-
And it's like, is it really going to be that much better, cooler, or whatever if you didn't do it? Like, how much does it matter when I've seen you bar spin out of 8 million other nose manuals? But then when the second you do it, you know the people at home are going to be thinking like, oh, I thought he was going to borrow there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But that shit matters a lot to me. So it's like I sit there and I'm like, damn, it does matter to me that I'm like, I do want to get this. And then I was thinking maybe it's a balance that I'm this good, right? That I have this expectation to do this. But then there is people a little better than me. I'm like, what if Garrett was trying this? Maybe it would have been less tries. But then I've seen him try shit for hella long, but on something I can't do.
Right.
But I'm just thinking maybe there's levels to this. Like being as good as I am is kind of like a tricky situation because it's like you have this expectation. And at this point, it's an expectation for myself even. Like if I'm looking at myself as a fan of myself and I post something, did I like that without the bar? Not really. So I sit there and try for fucking hours to get that shit. And people don't really realize that because it come off easy or you're good or we expect you to do that kind of shit. And that shit's hard to uphold. You know what I mean? As much as I try to wear it and act like it ain't shit and everyone does, it's hard. You feel me? It's hard to push yourself.
You can't just be at a certain level. You have to always be increasing it, and people at home might not understand that to just maintain a certain level of skill is really fucking difficult, but they want you to actually be taking it to the next level. And you've seen a lot of pros over the years who kind of like top out at a certain point. You watch a video apart from them and that just ends up being the best manifestation of their riding that they're ever going to have. And that's, you know, it makes sense, but it's also kind of sad to like see that when like a person kind of stops growing at a certain point and the tricks that used to be easy for them become hard to them. And
right, so you want to uphold going hard and doing your hardest shit. So that's hard to do.
Right.
So that shit's never gonna come off, I don't know, unless you're that good, better than your other one, you know. And then for me, it's like, how long am I gonna sit here trying to do a longer nose manual than I've done? How long am I gonna sit here trying to land into a bar manual to something else? Like, I'm just getting older to where I never thought like this. Before, I'd just be doing tricks and hella not caring. But now, like, I'm sitting here like, bro, is this really, like you're saying, bro, there's times where I want to put my time into getting bigger as, like you said, Edwin like music, like fashion, like I like a million other things, bro. And up until where I'm at in my life right now, all I cared about was BMX. I just put all this energy into being who I am with this.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm appreciative of everything I've gotten to this point. But what if I put all this energy that made me who I am with this into something else, in a sense of with bike riding? It doesn't got to be something completely different, but just transcend and push my shit a little further than just being a good ass bike rider, because that shit ain't really gonna get you nothing.
Right.
Because my thing is like, bro, I watch the best bike rider every day. I see Garrett Reynolds, bro. He has more medals than Shaun White now. And is he getting praised for that? Am I going to go out there now I want to win 13? So it confuses me being who I am in a sense like, do I want to go get fucking compete with that? It's like, nah, bro, I don't think the SBs ain't really going to give Garrett nothing for that.
Right.
You know, like why isn't BMX, upheld to that standard? If Nigel did, in a sense, you would think he might get an award for some shit like that.
Right.
But it's like in our sport, bro, is it really worth me to go out there to try to get that many golds, bro? And when the dude that's doing it ain't really getting praised like that,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's a sticky fucking weird ass spot. And then when I won gold, Forbes put me on 30 under 30, whoop-de-whoop. So do I have to do something that great to get recognized in a public whatever to let people know that I am this on a bike? And so it hurts. It's hard for me to break through that shell.
Right.
And then you see people like really can do some shit, transcend as far as not just tricks, like Nigel, and get respected as Rick Ross pull up and say, you the best biker in the world, my nigga, whoop-de-whoop. But how can I transcend that I really am that, nigga? Like, I'm really in this contest, bro.
Right.
I'm not on the bench, nigga. Like, I'm in the field and I'm like competing for this shit. And I have won a couple times, or I have done this. Is anybody gonna give me my flowers over here for this? So it's like, hold on, like this BMX shit going so far. And I feel like I've gone like this to get where I'm at, and it's this flat right here. And that's great. And I'm thankful for it to be flat. This flat right here is every dream I've ever had in my life, bro. A a car, a house, my wife, my skate park in my backyard. As a BMX rider growing up, all you want is you can dream of is a skate park in your backyard and a signature bike and a signature this and you're that. And I've got all these things that I'm so grateful for, but it's like, what can I do to like, transcend that a little bit? It feel like a little flat line, because when I follow what I've done so far is follow my inspirations, Garrett, Dennis, and I still do. I look at like what they're doing, and everything I'm doing is up to par with what they're doing. They got a ramp, they got their house, they got their thing. They go film, they go do some shit, go film some more. But I'm different, bro. I'm realizing as an individual, I'm not that same person like that was doing that to get here, in a sense. Like, bro, I do like my jeans. I do like nice shoes and shit like that. I do like going to go get fly and do this and that and go fuck around and listen to music, whoop-de-whoop. Shit that maybe Garrett and Dennis are more about, he go with his family, go camp and go get clips though. And I'm gonna go on a trip and I'm gonna go do this. I'm like, I love that. But it's kind of like a blessing that I'm in this spot to have the sponsors I have too that don't ask me for too much. It's not like they're sitting there asking me for parts like that. You feel me? Like, being on any other drink sponsor or any other fucking bike company or a shoe sponsor that I don't have, they'd be asking me to do some things. You feel me? So it's kind of a blessing that I can kind of move around and move the way I want to, and I can make a part for these companies if I want to. But it just feels like I've worked so hard to get all these dreams that I have, sit here with you, do all this cool shit. But like, in a sense, how is anyone gonna have a dream and it's fulfilled and you just stop and you just chill? Like you're saying, you could just be chilling. Who does that though? Right. You gotta have a mindset to keep going.
And as soon as you start to chill, you know that there's a shelf life on the sponsors and on everything. Like we've all seen pros in BMX who seemed like their spot was solidified and they didn't put shit out for a couple of years, and then you just hear about their sponsors dropping them. But like, okay, when I look at you or when I look at myself, it's like, I got into BMX and then I fell in love with BMX because it taught me how to progress as a human being in a way that I didn't have before that, where it's like, oh, I can learn to do a manual. I can learn to do tricks. I can learn how to travel. I can learn how to get in the car and drive 20 fucking hours to go to a skate park. Like it kind of was like a sandbox for me to figure out everything that I needed to figure out in life. And then it also became like, oh, I'm going to start a business based on this. And that's going to be like where I learn how to run a business. And then at a certain point, it became, I don't know that I can really identify any ways that I'm going to really be able to progress with this bike stuff anymore. And as soon as I had the opportunity to do something outside of that, it was just like, well, maybe the bike riding thing wasn't the sole thing to me in the first place. Maybe it was always about just growing and progressing. Right. And that's the thing with you, is that it's like when you were 12 or when you were 15 or when you were 21, furthering your life and like getting where you were going was you trying to do an up rail hard truck or trying to do a 5 down this gap or whatever. And now you're kind of at the point where if you went, I don't know what your fucking holy grail trick would be, but if you went and did a triple bar to ice down a 20-stair rail, that would be the craziest thing ever, that people would talk about it forever. Chad did a triple bar to ice down that rail. But what is that really? It only gets you credit in this very small pocket of the world, and the rest of the world remains oblivious to like whatever it is that you're doing. Whereas if you were to like, I don't know, like you could throw out a million different things, but if you were to do something more big picture, you could potentially get out there to more people. And
even doing stuff more simplified with our tricks can go further. Because like to my shit, like, dude, I cater to obviously the core BMX fans and myself, bro, that looks for that extra bar or that extra thing. But then to the public, like my mother-in-law's my wife's family, are they gonna know that was switch? Are they gonna know that I put 3 more hours into this just to turn the other way? Is that really worth it? You feel me?
Right.
So it's like, I don't know, there's a way to simplify things, and I salute people that do it, like that really get down and found a way to kind of like be smooth and be a part of brands and do their thing their own way, like Chad Douglas, you know what I mean? How he's like got his niche, like he's smooth and he gets his own shit going and popping with his own way. Like I'm respecting the way that people like that move, because it's more than just doing a trick. There's more. That's why I've been lately, like when I got hurt, it was making me think like, I want a little more substance than just being good. Like, there's something more to me that I can offer than just, like, being good, bro. What is being good, even, other than my peers that ride? Like, is that shit even, like I said, do people even notice if I do an extra bar or a spin this way, if it's not for my core people, it's just making me feel like what's more important now. I don't know if it's having a kid or what, but it's just making me feel like there's other things that are pretty, like, there's a lot of things out there that are more important in a sense of like doing a longer nose manual, dependingly.
And you're also just looking at the long run of like, well, fuck, I'm gonna be 40 one day, and it's like, am I gonna still be doing the same thing? It doesn't really seem like it. Most people, by the time they get to 40, they're doing something else, so they've pivoted into something else. So you gotta, you know, sort of maintain your position, but then also be looking forward and thinking one day I'm going to be doing this.
But I still got it in me. So like I do want to sit there for hours.
Right.
But I want to make sure I'm translating this energy the best way possible. Like, is it really worth it to get that? For me, it was. And sometimes if I'm going to spend 3 hours in my backyard for an Instagram clip, sometimes it's worth it. You feel me? But then sometimes I feel like it won't be. It's not to me, you know? But for the most part, I love BMX and pushing myself so much that that's going to exist till as old as I think, I don't know, as long as I can push myself. I'd be like making sure I'm going to be straight in my 40s so I can do this. But I am looking at more longevity as far as like, you know, shit, like excelling and transcending beyond just this bike shit, like, because the bike shit's always going to be a part of me, you know? So I don't know what that means, but I just think now, I think I'm thinking, like I always heard people think this way, but I feel like I'm thinking this way, you know, naturally and the way it's supposed to come to me. It's like I was hurt, bro, and God forbid, but I try not to get hurt often, and like, it was weird to have to sit down. And so like being outside of Battle of Hastings and not being in the mix of high fives was kind of like, I had to step back. Like, it is kind of crazy to me.
It gives you, I've been in that position where I fucking broke my ankle or some shit, or like did something where I couldn't ride for like 4 months, 5 months while I was like in the middle of shit. And it gives you like a window into what it's going to be like to be old, because it's like, you know, it gives you like, you basically have one leg for this period of time. And it's like, if I had one leg permanently, well, I'm going to have to really think everything through in my whole life, especially if I'm bike riding for a living, you know? So having a broken leg for a little while gives you that window of what it'd be like to be a fucking amputee. And it gives you, you know, a lot of room to think of like, well, shit, maybe this is something I should be thinking about, because when you're wrapped up in the day-to-day of doing the shit, you know?
It's hard for you to really see that and be awake to the other side when you're in the mix of it.
Or even like when you talk about Garrett, like just having that many gold medals is like, that's kind of why his whole thing of his career is astonishing. It reminds me of Drake, right? Because it's like, when you look at Drake, you're like, how the fuck has Drake continued to really not do anything or care about anything except making the best music and being the biggest star that he can for all these years? He never, because usually when a rapper is like on top of the game, at some point they do like a Michael Jordan going to play baseball thing, and they just sort of do something different.
They're still winning.
And with Drake, it's like he's remained so focused on being this star for all these years. And when you look at Garrett, you can kind of say the same thing of like, the 19th gold medal just must feel kind of crazy. Like, at what point do you just chill out? A lot of people would have chilled out, but it kind of says a lot about his legacy that he's building, I guess, too, that he just is, you know, he just kind of shows up and treats it like, I mean, I don't know how serious he treats it these days, but I remember him having a pretty casual attitude towards contests when we were younger.
Yeah, no, it's still pretty casual. He'll just still pull up, he'll probably miss a couple days of practice and still beat you. You feel me? He still got it like that. But I just always looked at it, me and Dennis, like, bro, we love riding, you feel me, so much, but he love it that much more than us.
Really?
That much more than us, which takes you as far as it's taken him. Like, that boy, he'll go out front and do some hop whips. I never want to go out front and do some hop whips. Bro,
even after all these years, like, it still kind of just hurts.
I don't really want to do a hop whip, bro. I'll go out front, do some 180 bars, feel my shit out, but that boy will go out front and do some hop whips, hop switch whips, hop this, that. That's going to keep him up to, and that's for his own personal, you know?
Right.
That's him being that great. Like we're saying, I don't know what makes somebody like that, but he got a little bit more in him to like uphold that.
Right.
And keep it. I mean, maybe if I won that many, you'd feel like you got to uphold it now at that point, but I don't know.
Like, when you go on those cinema trips, though, is it kind of fucking overwhelming? Because when you're watching like a bunch of dudes riding a spot and it's just like, oh, a switch ice to whip is just like a normal thing that's done on a ledge. It's like, I mean, that just must be kind of overwhelming when it's like literally nobody will give a fuck about an ice 180 on this ledge because someone just switch ice to whipped it. That's got to be kind of jarring mentally.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like now at this point I'm just used to it because I've been on trips with people that good that like I don't know, I'm just like not used to it, but it's not like it's gonna bum me out like, oh my God, I can't uphold like riding with y'all. Like
But you have to hold yourself mentally to a very high standard than if you were like filming Instagram clips alone,
yeah, no,
right?
you're picking like I gotta pick like the right shit at each spot. And sometimes it gets hard with Garrett because I almost like it's like I want to get my shit in real quick so he know what I'm finna do. Just because like maybe he might piece a little something into that to what he wants. Not like we'll choose the same exact thing. So now I'll just get mine in real quick. Or he'll get his in real quick and I'm like, damn, I was thinking of hard 180 bar too. Oh, never. So it's like it is kind of hard sometimes.
You guys have to like divvy it up.
Yeah,
Sometimes
divvy it up a little bit. Like, oh, I bet you got, oh, hell yeah. Or you did something that like, oh, you did hard 3 manual 1 or some other shit that you pushed, like you really did that on the spot, you know? So it's like you got to make sure like.
I mean, if you're each going to spend an hour and a half or 2 hours filming a trick on a spot, it would make a lot more sense for you to each be doing something that is kind of like a more unique use of the spot. Like that's when me and my girl go out to eat and she wants to order the same exact thing as me. I'm like, you know, I'm eating some of the food off your plate and you know I'm eating some of the food off, or vice versa. So you get something different.
Yeah. No, I feel that.
Makes sense.
No, same thing. But being on a trip with them, bro, honestly, it's so dope because they're all the people I've looked up to, like Dak, like the Insight days and like all this stuff. I like watched. It's crazy how obsessed I was with that. When you want to be something, you don't even realize you're watching that much content on BMX. You just are, you know, because I want to ride so bad that I'm being on a trip with Nathan. And I remember his props bio, and I remember Dak and who he really is to me, and Garrett and who he is to me, and Corey Martinez and who he is to me. It's like, you're just motivated, and then you clearly, and if I'm on this team with them, I clearly have a niche too. Like I'm a reason to be here too. So when I'm at a spot, cool, I'm gonna think the way I do to get this at a spot because they're not, and then they gonna do what they do on this big ass rail that I'm not. So it's like we all got our own little ways to get down and respect each other. When we get a clip, it's like, damn, bro, that shit was crazy, or damn, that was crazy.
But have you ever had a moment where you were just like, maybe I'm done. Maybe everybody else is getting better and I'm trying this trick and I can't do this one specific trick and it's making me feel like shit about myself. Like, or do you ever have moments where you're like, well, maybe I'm not done now, but I can kind of see where the end of this as a career might be? No?
Nah, I never felt the end. Nah, the end can't be that near. But I feel like, shit, when I see that little Suski kid and little kids like that, the little kids that get down, that shit make me feel crazy. But then there's like people that are hella good in Russia or whatever doing some crazy shit.
Right.
But I never felt like since they're so crazy that this is the end for me to push my shit or whatever. I feel like I still got a lane to, you know, push my own way and go further, you know. But then kids like Johnny Rakis it's mind blowing. I don't know.
I saw Russian kids today on Instagram do on a little crappy pyramid with a flat rail along it at a skate park. He did bar ice to hard 3 manual 180, and I'm just like, this kid is just trapped in this little fucking skate park in Russia, just doing all these ridiculous fucking tricks, filmed with the worst iPhone angle ever.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But that's that. You know, when I was trying to get it back then, like you do some unbelievable shit when you're hungry on this shit though too. So it's like, shit, it's pretty crazy to see that progression, you know.
Right.
But then like, I don't know. You see me turn up on that nose manual at the best trick. I felt like, bro, I had to get that off my chest because, like, I feel like I only have so much to offer to BMX. You feel me? As this niche thing. Everybody's so good at shit that, like, I can, like, nose manual on a rail sometimes. It feels like this niche little thing. And so for me to be able to get that in front of everybody made me feel like, y'all see that? This is the reason why I do what the fuck I do. Like, this is what I can offer. You feel me? It just had me turned because I haven't, like, I don't know, I haven't felt that in a while. Almost like we were saying, you do all this shit, you just don't feel like it's appreciated. Like, I just felt like I hadn't been, it's like I work so hard for shit, bro. It don't mean I'm going to get Reader's Choice or Rider of the Year. Like, you don't get no award for all this cool shit because other people do cool shit, too, that deserve that. So
but was that also, like, I mean, you're somebody who's been at a shitload of contests pretty much your whole life. And then because of COVID and shit, you basically didn't do that for a couple of years.
Then I turned up like that.
Yeah,
but
it's like
a little bit, but not really. I just felt like I just had it within.
Right.
But just in a sense though, like, yeah, like I love contests, but doing a best trick isn't really a run, so it's cool to just spend time and do something that hard.
Right.
So like I wouldn't be able to do something that hard in front of people, so it was pretty cool to like actually get it.
Right.
You know? And that was one of them things too. It was like if I was really there and it was no crowd and it was that setup, I would have spent that much longer doing the bar out. You know, like there's shit like that.
Right.
It was like, yeah, I want a nose bar, and technically if I had that feel at the end, I would have, but the nose was, that's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's hard enough for me to make it to the end, so I'd take that all day.
Definitely.
But if I'm really trying to sit here and get something, you know, I would have sat there and tried to fucking bar out. It would have just been like on my head like that.
One thing I always seen with you guys in terms of like top pros and everything is that when you guys are on the deck at a contest or whatever, it seems like no matter how competitive it actually is, that everybody acts super cool to each other.
Yeah,
Is it actually like that, or is that just me?
No, it's like that. It's
Perceiving
because
it
like
that way.
like when we look at BMX, it's just a full passion thing. We're all
Right.
just having fun, and we all respect each other, and we all know why each other's there. It's never like that, you know.
You never let the air out of somebody's tires or something?
Hell no.
Cut their brake cable?
But that shit was hurting me because I want to be more competitive, you know? And so when I was hurt, it was having me think that too. Like when I get better, I can't look forward to next season or this next year be like, I'm going to win like 4 street leagues in the X Games. I'm like, bro, I just enter X Games. So I have to wait till July and hope I feel good then and hope I'm like healthy then to like get down.
Right.
It's not as motivating to be like, I want to at least win 1 stop. I want to at least do that. Remember Do Tour used to have a few, and it's like I don't have enough to, you know, that competitive side where I come from racing and feel like I don't have enough of that to eat on in a sense. Like, fuck, like I want to like compete. If that's
Right.
my way of getting that off and to get it in, cool. But then there's not that much room for that over here for that. All right,
Right.
bet. So where can I take this energy? Oh, you can go spend 3 hours on a clip that's hella hard. What does that really get you? I just want to like, it's just not, in a sense, you want more to get it in with BMX, because I grew up around a time where there was like free flow contests and Do
Right.
Tour this, and even before when I grew up in my time, there was even more. There was like so many more contests and stuff. But I'm not trying to say I'm like a contest dude looking for that shit, but when you're coming back from something, especially an injury, you feel like you want to be motivated for something in particular. Like I want to come back and like, you know, get down, but there ain't nothing to really get down for.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like I remember a time period where I thought it was annoying how many contests there were in BMX and how there was just like something going on every fucking weekend if I wanted to go to it. And then as time goes by, it becomes less and less like that. And it seems like a bad thing overall because like BMX needs to have central meeting hubs. It needs to have reasons for people to fly across the country to get together. And it's like I was somebody who talked all kinds of shit about Interbike, but when you look at it now, it's like everybody in BMX kind of getting together all in one place and showcasing what they have going on. I mean, that sort of pushes the conversation and the community forward. And if the community is always just in their own little Instagram bubbles, it's not as good, you know? It's like there needs to be community in order for BMX to continue to even be a thing.
And that's what kind of, if you really look at it too, when you look at these industries, it's like X Games is our thing, right? We wait for that. But usually if you're in skating or snowboarding or dirt bikes, whatever, you probably have other contests that your own industry does all year, or you do some other shit. That X Games is an extra contest.
Right.
For us, it's like the one thing I'm waiting for. So it's not like I have like a bunch of shit. Like I could hit Simple Session and these little things that just don't seem as worth it to me to do worth like the X Games is, you know? So it's like if I had more, you know, bigger contests to be hyped about, it would be cool like there was once, you know what I mean? Like you were saying, every weekend. But it kind of sucks that like we just don't have that right now for our own, you know?
I mean, how does that make you feel that when you look at skateboarding, you see all these different people trying to build all these different businesses and there's all kinds of shit going on, and then you kind of look at BMX and it's like you don't want to just blame it on the prior generation, but there's a little bit of it that makes that tempting to be like, fuck, like why are there less people trying to build shit out of this community?
I don't know. And if you really think about it, it's like how many brands really have come up through the past like 10 years on some new, like Garrett having Fiend. There should be hella riders that started a company in a sense,
Right?
Or at that have made it that far to do it. You would think there'd at least be 3 more, but then it's like Fiend, Colt. There's a few that have that branch, but you would think there'd be more, you know, in a sense. And it's like,
I mean, even if you try to think of like big name new pro riders,
Yeah.
it really doesn't feel like there's that many in recent years. And there will be dudes that you follow on Instagram and you fuck with them and you see what they're doing and you think it's dope. But then there's something different of Chad Kerley being a young pro rider coming up and actually gets connected with a brand, and then you have a brand like Premium doing magazine ads, sending you on trips, putting you on these trips, getting you all these contests, and really like building a pro rider. I mean, you just see that process taking place less and less.
Less and less. It's like it's not as it's not really the same format of that either. There is no ads to do that with as much, you know what I mean, or the same things going on. You see me try the CK Invitational. I tried my own contest back when I first turned pro in a sense with Vitamin Water.
At the bakery,
I've always tried to like, you know, do something. I always like doing something for what I love, you know, and if I can have a brand that backs me, back this whole thing that I love, that's dope. Remember they got everybody at the Hard Rock. It was like Fuel TV put it on. It was like back then. So it was dope. Like, I just feel like, if there was more opportunity for, you know, BMX riders to do shit like that, why would, you know, it would be cool if they was out there being proactive with that, you know? And even in a sense of like, when I think of the brands, like when I got off Nike, and it's like, it's not really up to me. It's up to like, you know, people in the offices. And the fact that like so many people that love skateboarding have taken their, it's not like they need to be a pro skater, but they can do something with skating. They'll go be a designer at Nike or go do, so they have some pull because the people in the office love it too. But there ain't people that rode BMX in that office to be like, no, bro, we love this. We doing this. Not enough people. Everybody wants, I don't know what people want, but in BMX, it just seems like there ain't enough people trying to like, there's so many lanes open for that kind of stuff. And you can come from BMX, which could help people in BMX and help the sport in a sense. Just like how it seems how skating has done it in a way of like people in the offices probably skate, you know, at lunch, they probably actually go out and do that or whatever. It's like they have a more love and they're going to hold that tight over there, you know? And so I feel like BMX don't got many people working in that spot. Maybe,
and you know what's weird about it is that when it comes to like people using BMX for content and stuff, it's like there's been times over the years where you looked at different people doing stuff on YouTube where it felt like, oh, this is going to be the dude. Like I felt like that for a period of time with Adam LZ, who despite the fact that the vast majority of the BMX community basically wanted nothing to do with him at the moment that he went pro for Stranger and had that whole little thing. We don't need to go through the whole history lesson, but it was like that was a moment. And I think he had like the best-selling like bike that year off of just being one dude with a YouTube channel and started to tell his story through that. And then, you know, he kind of didn't really see BMX as being that hospitable, I think, and he kind of pivoted into the car shit. And I always thought there was going to be more Adam LZs. Like let's say Jake Paul had been a BMX rider growing up. And that was just part of his story.
Yeah, well, Panza does a good job at least.
Panza, you know, there's definitely people doing good stuff. But
I know what you mean.
Really exploding, like telling the story of being a BMX rider in such a way that like tons of people want to ride BMX as a result of just seeing your life riding bikes.
No, for sure. I feel that. I thought maybe there'd be more people to branch out on that too. Because I feel like Adam LZ did open up the YouTube world to BMX riders and realize that you could be a part of that world and it's kind of legit. But like, our shit's so core that you might get made fun of, and that's what kind of hurts us in a whole is like being so core is like, how are people in the real world gonna gravitate to us if we don't think certain things are cool? If they don't, you know, like it's got to be less so restricted on what's cool. You know what I mean? In a sense of like that, like how is the rest of the world going? I don't know, in a sense, what I'm trying to say, but how is the world gonna kind of like take that in?
Yeah, I mean, look at the shit that's going viral or how people go viral these days. Like, people like rappers literally make TikToks dancing and acting goofy as fuck, and it's like then you compare that and you compare that to BMX, and it's kind of like a lot of times BMX would, I think, do better to take itself less serious.
Well, if you relate it to it, it's like the coolest thing now. It's like we were saying, a triple bar to ice in like a video don't really hit as hard. It only hits hard to us because we know what's going on. You know what I mean? If we kind of like simplify things like that, it could make it just easier to digest in a sense.
Like, you know, like BMX, even with like the really good filming of shit, and then sometimes it's weird to think like you could watch a gap that someone did, the craziest gap that somebody filmed with a fisheye and it looks amazing, and everybody in the BMX community sees it and immediately understands how crazy this gap is. And in the back of my head, I'm thinking, if that was filmed with a shaky iPhone from across the street, it would probably have 10 million views on World Star right now.
As the shittier it is, sometimes hits harder.
Yeah.
But like, to me too, I was thinking, like, as goofy as we think things are for being core from the industry, like what's cool to us, the goofier something is to us, the cooler it is to the real world. That's why it's like, we can't just be so like, bro, like so core with it, because like shit, everything's cool. You can be like this or you can be like that, and more people might relate to you if you do that. But if you keep it so niche and core, how can people bring us into their lives if it's not that cool to do this? That's why like the YouTube thing kind of was a thing at first, because it was kind of like a goofy thing for BMX riders, like, oh hell no, don't do that. But the goofier thing got more play than us being that cool with an edit, like all our coolest tricks. Adam LZ gonna get more views than you being, in a sense, what's goofy of a vlog. So you just kind of like, you got to realize, I feel like this day and age, there's so many things you could do that's, if you want to think it's goofy in our core ass sport, it's actually cooler in the bigger world. You know what I mean?
But it's hard to resolve that when it's like Adam LZ getting 4 million views off riding Walmart bikes or some shit. And then the other option is like you trying to trick for 4 hours that you, I don't know, put on your Instagram, and it's like, people are hyped on it, but it's, you know, it's not going to get that same level of visibility. But that's the tricky part, is to try to figure out how you show your culture and your sport and your activity that you love, and how you make it palatable enough that people want to consume it, even if they are a more passive consumer.
Yeah, that's why I opened my YouTube channel a little bit, just to get more active on it, just to have that outlet to express myself on it like that, you know, just to show BMX through my eyes, or what it's like to be me in this position of BMX or whatever, just like a little behind the scenes vibe. But we're still trying to catch on to what we really want to do. But I just wanted to let my fans know that are subscribed to me, that I'm like trying to get something going with just content, because content is content and is worth having it. And like all this extra shit I didn't think was worth having is worth having, you know, and I didn't realize that. And it could be like tasting a chip and someone telling me talking about what the chip's like is content. I didn't realize everything literally was, because everything to me up to now is all BMX shit. So if it ain't a sick clip, or if it's not this, it's like there's way more to life we could be doing that we could post, and like makes me still, not just that, you know, being on a bike. So it's like just trying to branch out and do different things like that, I feel like help. And just in a sense, like just the more media we can have involved with pushing our BMX is what we do, is what's the point. That's the point of it, you know. Like I'm just like, I feel like we take it as like being a little media channel too. Like sometimes I'll like sit there and watch a video I like and just review it, just like some basic shit. I don't know, just.
But it's weird how everybody now kind of behaves like a media company in a sense. Like I've seen legit pro BMX riders reposting clips of their friends doing crazy bangers, and I know for a fact that the person who's posting it has the real bonus thing turned on or whatever. I'm thinking like, this looks like he's just shouting his homie out, but actually he's being motivated for the fact that he's gonna make like $300 off posting this fucking reel. And it's like, that's cool by all means, but at a certain point the person needs to realize that you're basically now making money and doing the exact thing that like the Come Up or you know, Our BMX or whatever media company does. Everybody's now a participant in this. And it's a weird new world where everybody's shutting each other out so they can get more real views.
For real. But there's got to be more like substance for that, like, too. Like for media channel, like if you're a BMX media channel, you don't really want to sit there and repost shit all day. You know, like you should have some more content to like. The point of it is to show if you're media, to show BMX to the world. You should be doing some like highlights on Garrett's life, just winning that many medals, and like something to click and watch. Like as far as like bigger things to go watch and content, like our content and media is just reposting videos. Doesn't really say much to like. It could be. There's got to be something more than that, right?
Yeah, but
and then too, you're reposting stuff. It's just reposting anything. It's like there's got to be a upper, elite, more elite. Like if you're gonna repost, just repost these type of I don't know, because then you're just reposting a 180 whip from some dude that did it over here,
Right.
just because it's a 180 whip.
But
You
it's
gotta,
weird
like,
when you look at skateboarding where
glorify it.
it's kind of like the Barracks is the biggest skateboarding page, and they do that exact thing of just taking everybody's good tricks and reposting them, because it's like you could spend $1 million a year creating content, and still your content wouldn't be as good as just reposting shit that other people post. Even though obviously it would be hard for you to stand out reposting other people's shit at this point in time or whatever. But if you can kind of grow a big page, you can spend effectively $0, repost other people's clips, and that's going to be the stuff that's going to perform well. It's weird how that they're incentivized that way.
It is weird.
But okay, when you think about Thrasher, doesn't that make you feel weird when you think about BMX magazines, how they all went away, but Thrasher was able to survive? And Thrasher kind of like built like the ultimate dream of a media company, where they were able to maintain their cool factor, have a cool factor that goes out. Like most brands don't get to have all these nerd celebrities and shit wearing their shit and then still maintain their cool factor.
Well, that's why they're still around like that, you know, because that's like that difference that it made. It's like as if it hit pop culture or something. Like Thrasher is just bigger. Like it's almost like when you get, if you're gonna get put on a media, like an extra, you know, a page is gonna post you should be getting hella followers or play off it. Like it should get more views than your page got. Versus like our media is gonna like be less than our media. I'm gonna reach more people than that is. Like it should be like, I want to get on your page because you're gonna get me this much more reach. It don't make you feel like that in a sense. Even if you're a guy that does want that reach on our BMX for that, or Dig BMX or whatever, how far is it really gonna get you to get, you know, a post on there? Depending, unless it's so crazy that everyone's gonna, you know.
But when you really look at like,
I don't know,
what was going on when I was young in BMX and stuff, it's like you had a shitload of people who just loved BMX so much that they were willing to like start magazines, start video magazines, do consistent DVD projects, etc. And most of those people were not really making much money off it. They just loved it so much that they were doing it, willing to do it. And it's like you have people making YouTube content and stuff, but I wouldn't say that like there's that many exciting things going on. But it's right there. Like you could actually start something exciting in BMX, being an independent video maker, put your shit on TikTok and YouTube or whatever, and if your shit is dope, you could be making enough money to like be living off by the end of the year for sure.
Right.
You just need talented people to like actually bite it off, you know?
Facts.
It's a weird world.
It is weird.
So I don't know. Do you have a kid now?
Yeah.
How's that going? How old?
I got a son. He's like 7 months now.
7 months.
About to be 7 months probably. His name's Kai. Got him on my shirt.
Ah, nice. So how do you you name him after Kai Cenat?
No, I just wanted a good little mixed name. I was like, all right, cool. I don't know, Kai was just stuck around.
But you like how has that changed everything? Because I could say it with a 2-year-old that it's kind of changed everything.
It changed a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Like my whole day, the days are just a whole different day. Everything used to be about me as far as what I want to do, what I want to go do, and I'm doing things for him now. Even like what I'm about to go eat is so I can get home in time for this. Or it's like the whole days have just changed in a sense of that. But my wife is really supportive enough to where it's like I can go get it in. So it hasn't really changed that aspect as far as like my profession. Like I can still go ride. She'll, you know, watch the baby when and not bug me on some shit like that. She's not crazy on some shit like that. And then I'll stay home and watch the baby when she goes to work. And then she'll knock her few hours out, and then I got the rest of the day to ride or whatever. Like there's a balance, but it's definitely got to be like, my days have never been so like scheduled or full of stuff that it you know what I mean? It used to be way more chill life before a baby.
It's like you go through your whole life where there's really no reason for you to be at the house, you know? Like
literally.
You could be out riding, you could be out hanging out, you could be at the bar, you could be at a restaurant, kicking it with friends, whatever. And then all of a sudden you have a baby, and it's like there's this massive pressure just driving you home at all times because there's just stuff that's more important. And even if it's like, you know, your girl's taking care of the kid, but it's always in the back of your head that you want to support her. You don't want her to feel like you've just like left her on her own while you do some bullshit, you know? So it's, I honestly, I look at rappers now who like blatantly kind of have kids and just don't give a fuck.
That's crazy to do.
And I'm like,
how can you not care, bro? Like, like you gotta care. Like
you are a soulless motherfucker if you can know that there's a 1-year-old at home and you don't care. Because for me, it's like if I have to go a day or two without seeing him, I'm fucking dying inside. Crazy, it's like I'm thinking about it nonstop.
guess we just got the right morals or something to have that in you. I don't know.
I'm glad I waited till the right time to have a kid too, because I guess if I had a kid at 18, I could have imagined myself being a callous piece of shit about it.
I didn't really plan my shit either, though.
Oh, really?
Did you plan yours?
Yeah.
Oh, so I wasn't really planned. Like, it kind of just happened, like, right before we moved into the new crib. But we planned of having a kid. Like, we wanted to get a crib for a family one day. We just didn't know it was going to hit us right when we fucking get in the house.
Right.
But it is what it is. Like, I'm kind of glad it happened this way anyway. Because sometimes if you were to sit and plan things, who knows if it would work then or not. So
Right.
it just is. It's all, you know, God's work.
I mean, if you were going to do it sooner or later, and then it just happens. It's like if you were thinking, I'm going to do this maybe in a year or two, and then it just happens. It's like, all right, let's just do it.
That's kind of how it was.
Speed your life up a little bit. Let's just get right into it.
Handle that shit.
It's a weird thing because it's like it is definitely one of the best things that's ever happened to me, and I would also advise people to absolutely not do it unless you're 100% ready.
Yeah,
because my whole life before this, I would have not really been ready. I don't think.
No, you got to be at a certain point to really handle this shit like be a real dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because you got to be ready to put something else above yourself.
Yeah. And this whole time I was just me, and now I had to be a dad. That's like a whole big responsibility that come with that. So, yeah, shit's way more important.
That's real.
Yeah. And I love it though. Like,
yeah.
I think it like made me a better person in a sense, just to even open my brain up to know that, like what life is. It's like so pure. I'd never seen, when a baby first comes out, you never seen nothing so pure, new life, and so innocent that I just changed my perspective on shit. Even like just being safe on my daily shit. I never thought about jumping off a roof. I'm getting my clip. Now I might like, am I gonna do this right now? If I'm gonna do this, I better do this right, or I'm gonna get down. Or I better not drive as fast as I used to whip it. Like I got a baby, bro. Like shit like that just naturally changed.
Everything changes once you have something in your life that you care about more than yourself.
Yeah, facts.
I
I hadn't felt that like that before. So it's kind of I love it. I appreciate that he did that for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Are you gonna do you have plans in your head to like turn him into a pro bike rider, or is he just gonna kind of see how it happens?
Nah, my thing is I know what's up with this industry, you feel me, in this world, and like it'd be cool if he got into something else that I could learn about that he's doing. But I would never tell him not to do it. Like, if he wants to ride, go ahead, bro. I got you with whatever you want to do with that.
But looking back at your childhood, do you think it like is it kind of weird to let a kid be so all in on something when they're that young? Or is it more beneficial as a parent to maybe try to force some diversity down their throat? Maybe you could do a bunch of different stuff.
It depends, bro, because whatever kind of kid they are, like if they really love that one thing, you should just go all in on it. Like, if you're really good at soccer and you really love it, you should just go all in on it. Of course you should. I always went all in on my shit, but I always tried other things. So you can try it. And then I realized I play soccer. I'm not a team player like that. Shit, I'm trying to get the goal myself the whole time. Right. So maybe I shouldn't be playing that. So it's like you should do other things, but if you really love something, I mean, your kid really loves something or whatever, you should just, in my opinion, I'm going to just follow whatever he want to do like that. If it's something in particular. If he's trying to play tennis, bro, we going to do it.
Yeah.
That's just what I grew up on, though. Yeah. Maybe. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else that you're looking forward to that's coming up that you want the people to know about?
Looking forward to? I mean, I got my frame coming out, my Henny Monster frame. And I think that's pretty cool because Haro is always pretty like, you wouldn't think of them being so like edgy with shit. Yeah. So they got the Henny Monster on there with the little glass, and it's pretty hard. I don't know. Like Kevin Connors he's my boy. So like when he started working over there, he helped a lot with like pushing the stuff like that.
Is it like a Henny brown color?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's hard, bro.
Oh yeah.
It's hard. And then I got this shoe drop, and I don't know when, but Kool Kiy, he's making a buzz on Instagram and everywhere. Like hella people wear his shit. Shout out to Steve-O, because I already knew the dude at Kool Kiy, but Steve-O hit me one day like, bro, he's in LA. You should hit him on some, like, tell him to, like, give you a signature shoe or something. I was like, I never asked. If anything, I was just being cool with bruh. If he give me some product, cool or whatever. I never thought about proposing, like, yo, you want to do a shoe with an athlete? So I texted bruh, you ever thought about doing a shoe with an athlete? He was like, let's do it, pull up. And he sent me his address. I pulled up to LA. acting like I lived in LA. So I was trying not to miss that opportunity. Like, nah, bro, I live in San Diego. I can't make it. I just pulled up like, yeah, bro, you want me? I'm here.
Right.
I made the shoe with them in the crib. It was like so dope to pull up and just be with this creative who's just down with like, you know, if I was like, okay, I'm from San Diego, I want to do some Padres colors. He was just with it, you know, and then, okay, I do CK as my shit on my frame. It's just like my initials. Let's put that on the shoe. Like, everything was so cool and organic that it was like, it was so fun to do, but I just don't know when it's going to drop because I think he wants to drop a lot of stuff with it, like some merch and maybe do some extra stuff around it. And it's not like a Nike or something. It's this independent guy who's got his stuff dropping when he wants. So whenever he drops it, he drops it. And we did some stuff with Jet Life because my brand's Seek Life.
Right.
Sometimes I kind of do collaboration stuff because I don't like, I have this brand kind of for a logo. If I want to stamp some shit or make something, I have it. But I'm not trying to push and like make T-shirts and like really be out here. Like, if that's something I want to do, I have it there for me. But for right now, I just do a bunch of collaboration shit. So like, we got a cinema seat we made. It's like cinema Seek Life seat. I just do like collaboration stuff, and we're doing some stuff with Jet Life, which is dope.
That's dope.
And just, I don't know. I'm just looking forward to just kind of like branching out and pushing. You know what I mean? Like this new little like mind opening as far as transcending a bit. I just want to follow my intuition, the dreams, or whatever that dream may be. Just keep following it. You know what I mean? Because like you can manifest it. You know, like we've become in a sense. You just got to put that right energy in, and I want to find something I can put that same energy in and get there too. You know, not as far as ditching what I'm doing, but alongside of it. You know what I mean? So
no, yeah, I mean, it's awesome just seeing you still motivated, still killing on your bike, still motivated to make shit happen.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, like having a kid now just make you want to push yourself, and that's always who I'm gonna be. I've always been someone to push myself, and yeah, I'm never like you said. Have you ever see an end? I haven't really seen that end. You know what I mean? I still am trying to get it. You know what I mean?
That's a good thing, probably, because it lets you know that you're still really in the middle of it. You know?
No, I mean, I feel healthy enough to still try and get tricks done and do stuff. So I'm here for it. But I just want to put some energy into some other shit too. I just want to find that. You know what I mean?
The body still feels good. You don't.
I go to the gym, bro. I go to the gym like twice a week.
Really?
Yeah, twice a week, every Monday and Thursday. Like strength and conditioning with my coach John. He works with like Sheckler, like hella other athletes and shit. But I've been working with him for like 6 years, probably now 5-6 years. Dennis introduced me to him, and we just kept working. And this is just not to get big or no type of extra shit, just to be solid with what I'm doing.
Definitely.
You know, and like be more, you know, injury prone. Like not, you know, if I jump off, I like damn near fractured my ankles jumping over Hollywood High, and I don't ever really put that clip out, but I would have, like, literally my legs could have snapped if I wasn't as strong as I am, in a sense, you know? Like, my legs absorbed all the impact and it shot me out.
Really?
Rather than just crunching into the ground. It was, like, elastic. It, like, all the energy went into the ground, and I landed on my feet and sprung off.
Right.
Rather than just crunching into the ground.
What were you trying when that happened?
I was filming for Real BMX, and I was trying to switch bar over the gate on the side.
Right.
Now, I was going to just bar it, but I think that dude, Marcus Hoy, no, I don't know who. Somebody did it, though. Somebody barred over it. Somebody on Stranger, maybe.
Kareem tried to 3 over it back in the day, and then Ty Morrow did it right after.
Yeah. That's like, I seen Holder 180 it way back. It was like a photo on my fucking, you know, so it's always a spot to me. I wanted to do a trick over the side, and obviously bars are like, I'd love to bar it, but someone did that. Right. So I was in the moment. I'm like, I'll just switch bar it. I got too much pop, and I just couldn't even throw it, so I just threw my bike and landed on my feet.
You doing a bar, like a switch bar over that gap, how much harder is that to you than doing a regular bar?
It's the trick itself isn't harder in the sense of like the trick is still a bar spin. It's just harder for me to get myself to do it, and I have to be in a different position to do it. So when I gave myself that much pop for like a bar spin, it was the wrong pop for the switch bar the way I do it. Right. So it is harder. It's trickier, but it's not like that much harder. Right. It's just like a different trick.
Are double bars kind of like spammy in your opinion, or do you think that they're cool?
I think they're cool. I just don't really. Yeah, I don't know. They're not spammy. What do you mean? Like it's some extra shit you don't need to do?
Is spammy a weird word? Like, I don't know. Spammy meaning like it's harder, but it's uglier, so it's kind of like not worth doing.
Yeah,
Is there
in
a
a
little
sense.
part of it to
Yeah, but
that?
like if you like catering to the core BMX shit, you should always do a double bar because everyone's gonna always think that's sicker. You know what I mean? So that's why it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
But I stay away from that shit. It'll jam my fingers. It's not
Mm.
that. It's not really worth it unless it's worth it and
Yeah.
tasteful. You know, like you're saying, it could be just thrown in and it's not gonna be cool.
Right, because sometimes you see people sticking double bars in where it's just like it's so tight. There's not enough space for them to do it that it just looks
Right.
disgusting. And it's like if they did it and it looked clean, it would be tight. But they're doing it in a way where they have to be like
Yeah.
kind of nasty.
Because it's
Yeah.
it's hard to do. So
Yeah.
you have to do it like that. It kind of sucks when you're low to the ground. You have to do it like
Right.
that.
But BMX is like that where it's like there when I was coming up, there was sort of a mentality of like if it's gonna look terrible, then it's just not worth doing.
Right.
And as time goes by, that goes away a little bit by a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. Wait, would you ever move out of San Diego, either to LA or to somewhere else?
My wife's family's up in the Bay.
Mm.
I consider that, but like not now. Like I feel like I'll move there one day if that's a thing. But like I've always been a San Diego dude, bro.
Especially once you have a kid,
Just
it's like hell no,
yeah.
I'm not going anywhere
Yeah,
unless I
that's
have an
like-
amazing reason.
Yeah, I'm like I feel like we're like comfortable. Like we have our little foundation now. Even having the little park in the back is so convenient for me to be able to stay home all day and shit like that. And like I don't know, being close to my parents means a lot to me too. You know, I only have a mom and dad and shit like that really. I didn't even tell you I was adopted, huh?
Oh, what? I didn't even
I
know
didn't
that.
tell the BMX world this.
I guess maybe
Nobody
I knew
knows.
that from back in the day, but
Nah, I didn't find out till right before I had a kid. And this is some real shit. And I don't say this kind of stuff because I almost don't have like an answer for this shit yet. Like I don't know. Like my dad came over just like bawling one day. Like right before I had a baby. And I think it was because of that pressure. Like maybe we were asking like, where are you from? Like, what's in your blood or what's in mom's blood? Because we're about to have a kid. So we're kind of wondering so he might have blue eyes or he might, all these questions might have built up to where they're like, bro, we can't even like hold this in. And he came over bawling like, bro, you're going to hate me. I said, what'd you do? You hurt mom or something? I didn't think, I'm like, what did you do? Literally, what did you do that I'm going to hate my dad?
right.
Bro, you were adopted. Ooh, I just hugged him. I love you. It don't matter. They're the only parents I've ever known. You know, they got me when I was 7 months. What
Wow.
can I remember before that?
How did that feel? How did that make you feel? Like
It
to know
made
that you
me-
don't have that blood connection with your parents that you thought you
It
did.
made me feel crazy, but that didn't feel that. I didn't feel that feeling right away. That take time to sink.
Right.
It like right away is just on some love. Like that don't really matter. You know, you were my parents.
Yeah.
You gave me a better life than real parents give people sometimes, their own kids. You know, you brought me to every race any other parent did. You did everything. There was nothing to point back like, bro, so this is why. Or this is, everything was good. You guys gave me such a great life. There are only things to appreciate. But that wonder comes with sitting around with myself. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
who the fuck is my mom? Like, and they gave me a book. Like, I just a photo of her, you know? And I'm like, I don't know what I am. I could be Filipino, bro. She looks Filipino. My dad could be black. And this whole time, bro, I grew up thinking, like, my dad's black. He's from Detroit. My mom's white. She's from England.
Right.
They found a good mixture because I feel like I looked in the mirror and I seen them.
That's
bro.
why I just felt
Yeah,
so
bro,
shocked
bro.
because
Yeah,
I've
I know
met
you're
your
looking at me
dad.
crazy.
I'm
That's
pretty
how
sure
my friends looked at me too.
Right.
My friends thought I was kidding, bro.
Yeah.
Dennis, all my realists that have known my parents for this long, it's a shocker, right?
Yeah, because I'm always like,
I'm
oh
like-
yeah, Chad has a black dad and a white
You don't
mom, so
really
his
think
skin
much.
color makes sense. Yeah,
I don't
like
really think much.
I
bro.
never-
I'm
wow.
like, oh shit, I got some Asian roots I could have embraced if.
wow. I
knew-
guess
if
now
I'd
looking
known
at you,
that.
I could kind of
I
see.
know,
Yeah, yeah,
bro.
right.
If I would, I
What
even
the
asked
fuck?
them. I look Asian when I'm in my baby photos and just brush it off or whatever. They always plan to tell me,
Really?
but they didn't want to like fuck up my flow. So if I'm doing really good in school and I'm doing really good on my bike, they didn't want to fuck that up for me because I could have been like, oh, I'm adopted, like the movies, right? Where
Right.
you're, oh, I'm pissed now and act different. But knowing my character and who I am, they definitely could have told me. That's why I always tell them, like, you could have told me. It would have been all good. And it kind of was like, that's an emotion that you kept for me that I deserve to feel in a
Right.
sense. Like, you chose to not tell me these things, but maybe I deserve to get told that. But being told the age I am now makes me more open to understanding, because I can understand now and put myself in my dad's shoes and why they did that rather than be young and lash out. So maybe I do understand why they could hit me with some info, being more mature to take it. But it was never meant for me to go this long, in a sense, without knowing, I don't think.
Yeah. Do you think if you found out at 12 that you would have been angry?
I don't think so.
Mm.
That's what I'm saying. I think they knew who I was. I wouldn't have lashed. I can't say, because I didn't know that then.
Right.
But I don't know.
Or do you think that if you found out at 85 on your deathbed, like, how do you think that would have
That
felt?
would have felt worse, because my
Yeah.
whole thing was like, my mom it seemed like her mentality was to never tell me.
Mm.
And that could be cool. You take it to the grave, you just don't know. But like, I think it's cool that they didn't tell anyone. So it was also like, I didn't grow up and Dennis's parents knew and other people knew. It was
Right.
like, they didn't tell no one. So now it's up to me, that I told you, that I told the world, that I told Dennis, if anyone found out, it's because I've said it. So I
Yeah.
kind of like that it's all up to me. And it wasn't just like this secret that other members knew, other family members it was all kept in pretty tight. I'm sure my parents' side, they knew what was going on, but like, it just wasn't really.
I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, and it's like,
Yeah.
I think that there would be a tiny part of me that could potentially logically feel like abandoned by your biological mother, but then that would be massively outweighed by the fact that
You have good
your parents did like one of the most selfless things that you could do, and especially knowing that the adoption world doesn't always work out great, and a lot of people have bad experiences in this world, that if your parents really did such a great job, then that's like incredible, you know. It's like, but both of those feelings could kind of like coexist. Not, and maybe abandonment is like a simplification, but like, just to know that your biological mother had that moment in her life where she didn't feel like it was reasonable. It's like,
That's crazy.
I don't know. It's just a wild thing to know about yourself.
Especially having a kid.
Yeah.
And
Oh
you
my
know how
God,
much
yeah.
you care about your kid. So there's this story that I don't know.
Yes.
There's like something happened, bro. Was she married and had did something, and I wasn't really supposed to be part of that family, and she had to get rid of me because she not have me? I was born on like Camp Pendleton over there on the military base. I think he was military, my dad or something, you know?
Okay.
And then I went to a foster home over there in like Oceanside or something with a foster family that was super cool. It's like a book of photos with me with like all these little white kids, and I was like, what? Is this a life I didn't even know? So I was living my life like without knowing I had more of a story, you know, in a weird way. And that's what kind of like trips me out. It's like I was fooled. I mean, there was times I was a kid and I had asked, and my mom said, I wasn't really asking. I might have just, am I adopted? On some random shit.
Right.
You're going to have to ask your dad when you get home. It wasn't that much of a thing for me to remember to ask my dad. I was just kind of so my parents always wiggled out of whenever I've had to ask, you know, and then maybe they wanted to tell me when I was like 21 and certain times, and then they couldn't because I was all happy that day and didn't want to make it something else. And I mean, being in their shoes, it would be hard, but knowing now how I took it and how it feels, I would have just kept it a buck from the beginning. Like, if I'm going to adopt a kid, I'm going to let them know from the jump, you know, like what's going on.
Right.
Because I feel like our relationship with me and my dad's relationship in a sense got closer because I can respect everything. Before, I just felt the dad love, like, you're supposed to do this.
Like, he really chose this. He really went out of his way to do this. And
I respect.
And he cared about your life experience so much that he kept it a secret.
Right.
Because he felt like that was the right thing to do.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's crazy. And then that feel crazy to me, like my real last name, my real name. Like, we're like, well, what's the baby gonna look like? Because we thought, you know, these were your parents. It's just like all this tricky other shit.
Right.
But like, a Kerley is what I am. That's all I ever was, you know. But my whole name was on some other shit, like Christopher Michael Seraldi. Who is that? That's why my real. They wanted to kind of keep Christopher a part of me. That's why my middle name is Christopher.
Wow. Okay.
I didn't know all that tricky shit, but But just knowing that it can get this tricky later in life, why not just keep it a buck in the beginning? I could have respected my dad and loved him that same way.
Yeah.
You know, but without knowing, I just loved him like he's my dad. Anybody would, you know?
It must be a crazy feeling because it's like, all right, let's say my kid ended up being really good athletically at something. I would spend the rest of my life thinking, oh, like, what is it about my genetics that made her so good at the sport or whatever? That's interesting. And it must be fucking weird to like adopt a kid and then have them end up being one of the best in the world at the sport that they choose to take on. That must be crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that they also help follow all of my dreams, which is like the coolest parents ever. You know,
because them facilitating your talent has way more to do with it than just you having the natural talent. You know, your parents like allowing it to happen and pushing in the right direction. That's so much more important than just the fact that you had the seed of natural talent. Because a lot of people are talented at things that they never pursue. You know,
right, and never know they're even fucking talented at it. No, for sure. And I fucking love my parents so much for that, you know, helping me just pursue. And it could, like I said, it could have been anything. They just helped me like follow whatever dream it was. Like they were literally like the best parents I could have had, you know? And so it does make me wonder when I am by myself, like, well, what is up with the biological parents? Like, you know, how what happened, you know, and if they're even alive to even know this story.
Right.
You know, like.
But so it's not an option for you to figure that out?
I could figure it out, I think, but I don't think I know. I'd have to like try to go pretty far to do it. I also don't have too much interest.
Really?
Because then if I go figure that out, it's like I do want to know the story, but I don't want to necessarily have like my circle's pretty tight, and I don't want to all of a sudden have a family I didn't know. What if I have a bunch of cousins that live down the block that want a frame for me?
Okay, well that's
hey bro, what? You're Chad? You're my cousin, bro? Can I get some? Do you have a bike? Or like, I just don't want to introduce a whole new side of things that I have never really.
I feel that.
You know, if I can find out without them finding out or some shit slick, I don't know. And what if her last name changed from what that original name was for me and she's married? How could I find the original? It's just hard.
That's a tough decision to make.
So I don't really think I need to like go so far. I think.
But there's part of me that is like, oh no, I'm meeting my mom at Denny's and I'm gonna cry my eyes out having this conversation about what the fuck was going on in her life. You know, like
I do want that too.
I kind of feel like I would do it, even though I agree it would be hard and potentially weird.
Yeah,
life
wise. Another, you know, like
just to know, because that, you know what that is? That's uncovering the weirdest, most deepest possible lore about you as a person that even you don't know it.
I know
the deepest chamber of information about you.
That's why
shit that you don't know about yourself. That's kind of crazy. Almost never do you get to meet somebody who tells you something about yourself that you don't know.
That you don't know. That's why I don't know. I was like biting my tongue on even bringing this shit up because like.
Yeah. Well, thank you, honestly, because even just thinking about it is pretty intense. Yeah.
I don't know. I never really expressed that to publicly or anything, you know, but I think if anything, I should be speaking upon it because there are people out there that are adopted and I could be inspiring and I didn't know I had all this to me to, you know, all this substance beyond just being talented at riding, like you say. Like I have like there's a reason, you know, like, and I'm thankful for all those reasons. And like I don't know, it's just a tricky kind of thing to bring up. And anytime I even brought it up with the homies, it's random as fuck. Like, what did you say? Like, what? And it's like, bro, I just have to tell you because the more I talk about it, the better I feel. And then the more I've realized that it's relatable, like my homie be like, oh, you didn't know my girl's adopted too. Or like, oh, there's more people out there adopted than I thought. Like
I was thinking that. There's going to be a lot of people watching this who are going to be like.
I just needed to tap in and like say it out loud and then I could relate to somebody and that made me feel better that I spoke about it versus just keeping it inside and like hearing, even having a conversation with you about it helps me or just to understand like, these things, you know, because when I sit by myself, it is something you can't help but wonder, you know, like what happened before I got picked up at 6-7 months.
Yeah.
You know, there's like something like, and knowing that your wife was pregnant, you have a relationship in the belly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, then me being 6 months old, there was like a whole 9 months of being inside of this person. What is this? Who is this? Like,
looking at your own kid and seeing the way that the only thing that they can do for many months is just scream out for the breast and just realizing that like that You know, then later on when you look at your kid and you see the relationship that they have with the mom, and you're just like, oh fuck, like it's not gonna be easy for me to mean as much to you as your mom means to you, because you've literally not known anything in the whole world except for her breast. You know,
like my son is just all about the mom.
Yeah.
I mean, he see me and smile and shit, but like, mom is everything right now, and that's that stage. You know what I mean?
Right. So. Yeah, 100%.
But the shit, like I said, if I were to adopt a kid, you know, I would keep it a buck. It's just, I don't know. And it's crazy that I have my own kid, that I can just, it's a blessing that I can, to know that my parents, you know, there was something going on where they couldn't obviously have a kid, so they had to adopt.
Yeah.
It's just like, damn, life is crazy.
That's facts.
Fuck,
Chad. I appreciate you hitting me with this fucking
load
of emotion. That's a lot to think about, dude. Because today's also my first day of not seeing my kid for 3 weeks. Because my girl's in fucking Europe with my kid. Yeah.
A vacation?
So I'm a little emotional in the first place.
3 weeks is a long time.
She wanted to check out wedding venues in Italy, and she had some shit she wanted to do in France. I'm like, I'm not taking 3 weeks off work. I just can't do it.
Well, I don't really go on trips for 3 weeks long, really.
I'm
not
right?
like a 3
She doesn't either. This is the first time she ever did this.
I've never been away from my fam like that. That shit. I mean, the first trip I went on without, you know, not seeing my kid, it felt weird, because then when I came back, there was like some little bit changes of like how he's even like looking. I'm like, damn, I missed something.
Yes.
You know, it's like, fuck.
And my kid now is learning new words. Like every single day, she'll have all kinds of new shit that she learned.
So 3 weeks, you about to be,
I came home the other day, and she looks at me and goes, "Oh my God," because she had just learned that day. She had learned how to say, "Oh my God."
Crazy.
Weird feeling. All right, Chad, I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate
Much love,
you
and everybody, go fuck with my boy. Go watch his video parts and everything.
Love.
Appreciate you, dog.
Oh yeah, thank you.
No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. Check us on YouTube, TikTok, Patreon, Instagram, etc. Like, comment, and subscribe. NoJumper.com if you want to support.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, man.
Hell yeah, thank you, man.